Ever wonder how Florida won the 2025 NCAA Tournament? Here's a full offensive breakdown that includes 4 parts: transition offense, offensive rebounding, half-court sets, and clutch shot making. The first thing that we're going to look at is Florida's transition and early offensive philosophy. Florida's transition offense starts the second that they get a stop defensively. You'll notice all 5 players are sprinting up the court as quickly as they can, and they move the ball early and often so that the defense is at a disadvantage. This results in easy baskets. If we look at the highest scoring teams in NCAA Division I basketball from the 24-25 season, we notice that the Florida Gators are number 5 in the country, behind Cornell, South Dakota, Gonzaga, and Alabama. A big reason that they're ranked 5th in the country in points per game is their transition offense. They immediately look to punish defenses in transition after stealing the basketball and forcing turnovers. They're always sprinting and always making the extra pass in order to get the easiest possible shot at the rim. Just watch how unselfish Florida plays in transition. They're always making the extra pass. Not only does Florida run after stops and steals, but they also run after opposing teams make baskets. Here in just a matter of seconds, Walter Clayton gets the ball all the way down the court and finishes off the and one. Norfolk State tried to press them a little in the first game and had no success, as Florida is just too quick and too fast in transition. In Florida's second round game versus UConn, they didn't have as much success in transition, but here's a great clip that shows just how quickly they get the ball outletted to the sideline and how quickly they sprint wide and then straight to the rim for an easy dunk. One of the Gators' most effective actions in transition is a simple early post-up from their bigs. They sprint down into the paint early, and in this circumstance, when UConn is switched guard on big, they lob the pass over the top to the corner of the backboard for an easy 2. Maryland tried to press Florida a bit in the Sweet 16, but just watch how easy Florida breaks it with just quick passing and then athletic finishing at the rim. Here's another example of Florida just securing a rebound, and immediately Walter Clayton looks to push the ball up the floor. They sprint to the rim, they get an easy 2. Defense turns into offense for the Gators, and then unselfish finishes at the rim. Florida's up 16 at this point against Maryland in the Sweet 16, but their foot is just always on the gas. Here again, they get a quick defensive stop, a quick swing in transition, their big run straight to the rim, another easy basket. Again, up 16 with 3:20 left. They just never slow down. They're always in attack mode. Their bigs are always running to the rim, and they get so many easy baskets. Florida struggled a bit in the Elite 8 against Texas Tech, but here's a clip of them running off of a made basket in about 6 seconds. They get the ball all the way to the paint and get a rim 2 and finish in transition. Again, their defense turned into so much offense, easy offense for them. They're always in attack mode. Deflection turns into a run out for an easy jam. Here's another possession off of a made basket from Texas Tech. It's like made basket, and they're down the court and responding to that make within seconds. Defense turns to offense again. Massive block on one end leads to a run out on the other and a wide open 3-point shot for Florida just because of how quickly they're getting the ball up the court. Here's a perfect example of one of the Florida bigs sealing off his defender so that Walter Clayton, the guard, can go straight to the rim for the easy 2. Florida did this almost better than anyone in the country this season. Again, a quick defensive rebound. They're outletting, they're attacking immediately, they're moving the ball early and getting straight to the rim. You'll notice that most of their shots in transition are either right at the rim or 3-point shots. They don't settle for early mid-range jump shots or contested shots. They're either wide open threes for the most part, or they're getting straight to the rim. Walter Clayton, 3-point shot, wide open. Here again in transition, just look at the shot selection for Florida. It's a quick swing, a shot fake, and then a wide open 3 from Elijah Martin for an easy 3 points. Defense turns to offense again against Auburn, which they did so well throughout the tournament. Again, Chinyalu with really good hands turns into a turnover and a huge jam for Elijah Martin on the other end. They did that better than anybody. Like when they needed to make a run against Auburn, they made the run. In the national championship game against Houston, it was just the same exact thing. Like their bigs go straight to the rim for easy 2s. They're looking, can we get to the rim right away? Can we throw a pass over the top to a big for a layup? Which they did better than anybody. It really helped when Walter Clayton was the guard because he makes such good decisions and reads. Transition 3 there, Here, Florida, again, the second they control this defensive rebound, they're in attack mode. Clayton's getting downhill. He's using a quick slip from the big who gets straight to the rim for a dunk. Like, you'll never see their bigs do anything but run straight to the rim and try and get early post-up position so that they can generate. I mean, they just had so many baskets like that where they were so easy simply from just sprinting to the rim and playing unselfish team basketball. The second thing they did really well was their offensive rebounding and second chance points. If you pay close attention to who is in the game for Florida at any given moment, they always have 2 bigs on the floor and 3 guards on the floor. This is contrary to what a lot of modern teams are doing, playing either 5 out with maybe 1 big. Rarely is anybody playing 2 bigs anymore. Florida, at all times this entire tournament and the entire season really, had 2 bigs on the floor at the same time. Now, they also have the luxury of having bigs that can shoot, but you'll notice like the amount of second chance points they're able to generate from having multiple bigs in the game that just get deflections and get their hands on the basketball is crazy. In this clip from their second round game against UConn, you can see they've got 2 bigs in the paint, just always fighting for rebounds. And even when they miss shots, their bigs are trained so well to just be ready to go up and get offensive rebounds off of misses. In their Sweet 16 game against Maryland, the Gators scored 21 second chance points. Like, they just pretty much won this game because of their offensive rebounding. You'll notice their bigs just have an absolute relentless motor, and they're constantly going to the glass. They know their role. Here's a great example of that. Like, Hauk knows his job is to get offensive rebounds, and he's constantly going to the glass anytime he sees any of the guards shoot or any of the bigs shoot. Like, they are trained so well to just go to the offensive glass. You can tell they emphasize it all the time, but they also work on it all the time. And it's definitely one of, if not the reason they got through the Sweet 16 game, was just how well they rebounded and then converted those opportunities off those offensive rebounds. Florida was pretty lucky to survive their Elite Eight game against Texas Tech. We'll get into how they won this game later. They really only had a few second chance points in this game. Texas Tech, you could tell, came in and made it a point to take away Florida's second chance points. So they did a great job of rebounding and boxing out on Florida and didn't really allow their bigs to do too much on the glass. Auburn also did a really good job of limiting Florida's second chance points in the Final Four game. And then in the national championship game, Florida's playing against Houston, who is one of, if not the single best defensive team in the country. Like, that's what they're known for. That's how they got to the national championship game. Florida got a few second chance points, but not enough to really be the reason that they won the national championship. The third thing that Florida did so well throughout this tournament was just execute in the half court. So here, Norfolk State played a little bit of zone. You'll see Florida overload a side of the floor, and then again, something that the bigs do so well, they seal and they get an easy layup. Here, Florida runs a nice double backdoor set, and the reason this works is because Walter Clayton is so overplayed because of his shot-making ability that they're just able to get a lot of backdoors for him. This Horn Zoom set is one of their favorite sets that they run. They'll run it later in the tournament, but against UConn, they use it effectively here. Elijah Martin gets a wide open 3. Another set that they like to run a lot is this weave pick and roll. Basically, it frees up Walter Clayton to come off of a pick and roll where he can create. He can either create his own shot or here he hits the big rolling to the rim. Florida runs so many of their sets out of this Horns alignment. Here, it's just a simple flare screen for the point guard, Walter Clayton, and then they roll off of it, and what this does is it just causes the defense to lose track of who they're guarding. They end up with a wide open 3. Because Florida always has 2 bigs in the game, what they often do is they'll roll one of their bigs and then they'll pop or replace one of their shooting bigs who's not rolling to the rim. Here they get a wide open 3 look off of that. This is just one of the baseline out of bounds plays that I saw them run a couple times in the tournament. Basically, it's just a double curl to create a quick, kind of a mid-range contested jump shot. Not a great shot, but they get it for an easy 2. Again, another horn set here. Clayton, again, because of how worried teams were about his shooting ability, he's able to get so many backdoor looks. Florida here, kind of in the flow of their offense, gets into a handoff into a roll and replace. So here you'll see one of the bigs is rolling to the rim. The other one has replaced him. They get an easy lob for 2. Another horn set that they ran here. Clayton really had the option to backdoor here, but he's going to come off of this dribble handoff for a 3-point shot against Auburn. Again, this is one of their primary actions that they run. They roll one of their bigs, they pop the other big. It generated so many open looks for them, either at the rim or behind the 3-point line. Like I said, they ran this horn zoom earlier in the tournament. They run it here against Houston for a wide open layup for Elijah Martin. And then back into another horn set. With all these different horn sets, it's probably so hard for teams to scout them because they all look the same right away and they just do a bunch of different things out of them. Really, the reason why Florida won 3 different games was because of clutch shot making. A lot of that was from Walter Clayton. Here against UConn in the second round, they're down 3 with about 4.5 to go, and Walter Clayton just pretty much takes this game over. Like, you'll see some of the different shots that he makes. These are tough, contested jump shots that he's hitting. But then they also just get some easy baskets from just really clutch defense that they turn into offense. But, I mean, look at some of these crazy shots that Clayton was hitting. I mean, he pretty much just single-handedly won them this game against UConn, and then they had just relentless effort again on the glass. They didn't really have much of a problem in their Sweet 16 game against Maryland and didn't really need any clutch baskets. Against Texas Tech, they were down 9 with like 3:38 left and had a number of clutch shots. Here again, down 9 with 2:53 left in the game. Howe gets a wide open 3, hits it, gets another look on the next possession down the court, and he hits that 3. They benefit from Texas Tech missing a few front ends of 1-and-1s, and then Clayton basically senses the moment and starts taking the game over with some clutch shot making. This one's ridiculous. Like, he catches it in the paint, just dribbles it out. He's running away from the basket, shoots a fadeaway 3. And one of the things that maybe got overlooked a little is how well Florida shot free throws at the end of their games. Like, when they needed to put teams away, they did by hitting free throws. They hit a lot of them in this game against Texas Tech. Against Auburn in the Final Four, it was another Walter Clayton takeover. They're up 1 here with like 4:30 left. He hits a clutch 3 here. Here he gets a switch where one of the Auburn bigs has to guard him, and he just blows right by him for an easy 2. And then again, up 3 with like 1:30 left, he gets this clutch and 1 basket. It was pretty much just a Walter Clayton takeover at the end of this game. You could argue that Clayton won them this game, and he also won them the earlier game against UConn. But when we get into the national championship game against Houston here, down 3 with 3:15 left, this one wasn't as climactic as the other 2 games, but Clayton again clutch 3-point shot, and then it was really just Florida getting to the free throw line and making free throws in crunch time against Houston, and then drawing a foul here. Elijah Martin drew the foul, gets to the line. They're down 1 with 46 seconds. He hits both of these free throws. Then they get fouled again and come back to the free throw line with 19 seconds, go 1 out of 2, so they're up 2, and then they get this clutch stop at the end of the game to win the national championship. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, if you have ideas for other basketball videos you'd like to see, let me know. Thanks for watching.